Hi everybody, Dr. Pingle here. We're going to talk about creating video fly-throughs in CloudCompare. So this is a very easy thing to do. So to demonstrate this, I've loaded a colorized point cloud for Blacksburg, Virginia. And we can manipulate this just as we always have. Kind of scroll around and look around. What I'd like to do is teach you how to make a fly-through for this. So we'll zoom out a little bit here. Now what we're going to do is use a plugin. So if you go under plugins, there's an option here that's not going to be available at the moment that's going to let us create this. And that's the animation tab right at the top. To use that though, we're going to need to create keyframes or viewpoints that we're going to use to do that. So just like ArcGIS is going to do, we sort of create these camera spots, and then the program itself figures out how to smoothly move between them. So to create these viewpoints, we're going to use the Control V key, which you can also see under display. So this is Save Viewport as Option or as Object. And as we hit that, you'll see those viewports start to appear over here. So basically what I can do is I can start manipulating my point cloud and hit Control V, and it's going to start saving those as we move through. So I'm going to kind of pan around while zooming in a little bit. Control V. I'm not going to make too many of these here because I don't want this to take too long. Control V. And maybe one more. Control V. So I have 5 viewports that I've defined here. Now with these, I can select them all. So I hold down the Shift key while I click to get them all. And then I can go under my plugins, and now animation is available. I'll see those animation steps in here. I can move those around. I can check and uncheck these. And I can also set a few of these different options here. So I can set the total duration. I can set how long it takes to get between certain portions here. I can set the output frame rate. I can set the output bit rate. So as it says here, the higher, the better quality. I'll often leave this super resolution or zoom checked, which is going to improve the quality of the overall rendering. You're free to kind of play around with that as you want. I'm setting the output file here. So in this case, I have this set to output to a temp directory. We'll just call this animation 15. I've done a number of these, so just want to make sure that we don't overwrite something. I can preview the animation, which I don't often do. I can export these as individual images, which would be useful if I wanted to go back and use GIMP to assemble them or FFmpeg. But I'm just going to go ahead and render these. So one of the kind of tricky spots with this plugin is if you hit OK, this dialog box is going to close and it won't have done anything. So you don't hit OK until you're kind of done with this. So what I want to do instead is hit Render. And it's going to render all of these frames. The same sort of thing applies here with this animation creation as with ArcGIS. Rendering these frames takes time, so make sure that you're kind of budgeting your time. You can see that of the 250 frames that we have, we're about 10 seconds in, and it's taking maybe a second per frame to do this. So you can expect this whole thing to take about 5 minutes. Now, one of the things that you have to be careful about here is that as you're rendering these things, it's important that you just kind of leave your computer alone. If you try to do other things, this rendering is going to fail. So keep in mind that it is a plugin. There are some bugs associated with it. So this is just kind of one of the limitations that you sort of just have to live with. It's likely to be buggy as you use it. So as long as you're sort of doing these constrained, just quick zoom in and out on a point cloud, it works great. If you kind of try to push that a little bit, you can kind of run into trouble. I'll pause the video here after this is done rendering. Okay, the animation has been saved successfully. We can hit OK. and we can hit OK to close that dialog box. Now to view this, we're just going to jump into our temp directory and look for that animation 15 that we've just created, which is right here at the top. And we can play that. So it looks something like this. How this is going to render, sort of looking at a video while I'm recording a video, I don't know. But there's a good look as to what this comes out like. And obviously, you know, that moves pretty quickly. You probably want to change the amount of time that it takes to move through the frames, but all of those are quite customizable. The last thing that I wanted to talk about was posting these to YouTube. Up in the upper right-hand corner, you've got an option here that says create a video or post. So if you click on this, we can upload a video. And so uploading your video to YouTube is as easy as dragging and dropping. So I'm going to take my animation and upload it right here. So this is a relatively small animation. While we're uploading that, we can take a look at it. That whole thing is a 151 megabytes, so relatively small as far as this goes. I'll go ahead and pause the video while this completes uploading. Actually, before I pause it here, let me just make a couple of notes. There's a number of different settings that you can change on here. So you can change whether this is publicly viewable or not. You can change whether it's a part of a playlist or not. So I'm going to add this to the geovisualization playlist. And then even while it's still uploading, you know what the URL is going to be. So you can right-click on this and copy that link address, and so you'll have this even before it's done. If you hit publish, that means that all of the settings that you've applied down here are going to be ones that you want to keep. You can go back into return to editing if you change your mind or forget to set something. You can add descriptions, you can add tags. But once this is saved, then this URL will work as long as the uploading completes successfully. While we're waiting for that to finish, and in fact I'll probably end the video before we do that, it's gonna go through this uploading phase. It's gonna have a processing phase, and then it'll be done. So as long as you've saved this and keep this window open while it's uploading, then everything should work just fine. So there's a quick explanation of how to create animations using CloudCompare and how to upload them to YouTube.